Hey guys, tonight we board a place that doesn't appear on any navigational star chart, nor respond to any broadcast frequency. It isn't docked nor drifting in the traditional sense. It exists only in the folds of dream cycles, those strange loops your brain enters when sleep deepens past the fourth stage. A drift station tethered not to space, but to minds like yours, sliding across subconscious tides. It feels cold at first. Not physically, your body is warm, nestled in synthetic memory foam, but perceptually. Like arriving early to a party where no one knows you're on the guest list. You wake up with a start. The lights flicker with the gentle pulse of circadian rhythm algorithms tuned to dreamers like you. There's no standard gravity orientation. You aren't lying down, but you're not standing either. You're simply there, aligned with the station's internal axis of sleep inertia. The room around you is hexagonal. Each panel breathes faintly, like walls exhaling. A console glows dim blue beside your hand, though you're certain you didn't touch anything. Text scrolls slowly across the display. Welcome back. Estimated cycle REM9. Previous self has logged 1,312 hours of lucid resonance. You squint. Previous self. The software of ventilation becomes language if you listen long enough. You hear whispers of an orientation manual, but the words stutter and loop. In the event of existential drift, locate the observatory. You float through a sliding door that opens before you reach it. The hallway beyond curves like a spiral seashell, and you get the sense that walking it might stretch time in odd ways. Light panels glow in alternating hues: rose, cyan, and a green not listed on any human visible spectrum. At the junction ahead, a sign flickers into legibility. Do not attempt to recall waking life while transitioning between dream cycles. A small cart rolls past, seemingly autonomous. It's filled with teacups, all steaming, though no one seems to be drinking them. The cups rattle a bit, as if nervous. You resist the urge to pick one up. Some tea smells like cardamom. One smells like your grandmother's attic. There are voices, faint and overlapping, none directed at you. You pass a mural that wasn't there a second ago, a panorama of binary suns melting into a sea of blinking eyes. It shifts when you blink. At a corner, your hand brushes against a vent panel. It's warm. That shouldn't be possible. You turn and realize the wall has absorbed your fingerprint and is growing a tiny silicon flower in response. The intercom crackles suddenly, reminder to all non-local entities: please refrain from naming the dreams of others. It may cause recursive identity errors. You pause. A shadow moves at the edge of your vision. Maybe a person, maybe just a program running maintenance. Either way, your chest tightens briefly, not in fear, but in the weight of meaning you don't fully remember. A door slides open into a wide chamber. It's circular, with a wide observation window facing a constellation you've never seen. The stars are arranged in patterns that hum faintly when stared at for too long. You feel like they're rearranging themselves behind your back. In the center of the room floats a woman, or a projection of one. She's transparent, humming softly to herself. Her lips move in sync with a melody only your heartbeat seems to follow. You're early, she says without turning. But you always were, even when you're late. You try to respond, but realize your voice isn't present, not absent, just deferred. She turns. Her face is yours, but older, or younger, or in between. This version of you might last longer, she muses. Just don't go to the airlock yet. It's still adjusting to your paradox signature. And then she's gone. Or perhaps you blinked. Or perhaps she never spoke at all. You float toward the viewing glass. Something enormous glides past the station like a whale, but made of fractured light and gravity wells. It doesn't seem to notice you. Yet your chest fills with that deep primordial awe reserved for watching God sleep. Scientists still argue whether the drift station is a construct. a collective hallucination or a stabilized anomaly inside entangled consciousness clusters. That line scrolls across another panel. You nod, as if it makes perfect sense. And from behind you, just before the room dims, a new announcement plays. As of Sleep Cycle 9, all dreamers are reminded memories formed here are real. Until you wake up, if you ever do, you look at your hands. One is yours, the other is gloved, but you aren't wearing gloves. You don't feel alarmed, you feel invited. The room dims. Not to black, but to a soft shade of absence. The artificial gravity field cradles you as you drift down the corridor. It's a gentle pull not toward any planet, but toward a rhythm. A deep, subliminal pulse that matches your breath, your heartbeat, and perhaps something older. Gravity here doesn't obey mass, it obeys memory. You reach the gravity garden. That's what the scuff sign says, though part of it flickers and reads Gravy Garden, which is apparently a joke among the long-term sleepers. The moment you enter, the air shifts, not temperature, but density of thought. Each step feels like a decision you haven't made yet. The room curves wide, like a ship's dome, filled with soft vines that sway not to wind, but to sleep cycles. They coil and unfurl as if dreaming themselves. Some leaves are metallic, humming faintly with neural syncopation. Others are translucent and reflect images from dreams you're pretty sure you haven't had yet. You step onto a mossy path. It's warm beneath your feet. It responds to REM depth, deepening color as your brain enters lower wave territory. Flowers open slowly as you pass. One of them giggles. Another murmurs something that sounds suspiciously like your middle name. A hovering sign blinks nearby. Caution, artificial gravity may fluctuate based on emotional honesty. You smirk. That might explain the slight tilt every time you remember that one thing you swore you. They forget. A cluster of floating seed pods drifts past your shoulder. They sparkle faintly and emit a soft jingle, almost like the chime of silver spoons tapping crystal glasses at an interstellar wedding. A bee now, not quite a bee, hovers nearby. It looks mechanical, but hums with the frequency of a lullaby. When it lands on your arm, it pulses once and flies away. You feel momentarily reassured, as if someone you trust has just said, "You're doing fine." In the center of the room floats a stone platform. It shouldn't float. You approach it cautiously and step on. It doesn't sink, it adjusts, like a memory foam for spatial tension. A ring of floating orbs lights up around you, each one pulsing in sync with a different dreamer somewhere on the station. Then you notice something strange. One orb pulses in counter time, backwards. You reach for it. It recoils. The garden dims slightly. The vines tense. A robotic voice echoes above you. Dream cycle resonance has destabilized. Please do not touch reverse-sensed identities. You back away slowly. The orb resumes its rhythm, but the feeling lingers. Something or someone on this station is dreaming backward through time. Your balance shifts. Suddenly you float weightless. The artificial gravity has disengaged. Your feet leave the moss. You drift upward into a cluster of luminous spores. They burst around you, filling the air with soft light and the faint scent of old paper and lemon zest. You try to grab a handrail, but your fingers pass through it. Not intangible, just temporarily not real. The garden's logic is slipping. Or maybe yours is. The room folds slightly at the edges. You blink. Suddenly, gravity resumes. You land softly, but not where you started. A different path. A different section of the garden. The flowers here are silent. They are cooler. A chill of unease touches your spine. A nearby plaque reads, "Gravity blooms calibrated to 12 Hz paradox field. For best results, avoid overthinking." Too late. A mirror appears in front of you, or something like a mirror. Your reflection isn't you exactly. It's a version of you wearing a uniform you've never seen, with a scar you don't have, and a badge labeled Dream Mechanic, Cycle 3. The reflection nods, You nod back, and then it walks away while you stay still. The intercom hums again sweetly. Reminder, should you encounter yourselves, do not engage in small talk. It creates loops. You chuckle or try to. Your voice is still deferred, echoes only. As you exit the garden, you pass a door labeled Gravity Calibration Room. You peek inside. Dozens of shoes float gently in the air, no people, just shoes. All sizes. Some ancient, some brand new. One is clearly yours, even though you're wearing both. You close the door quickly, and then just as you think you're leaving, gravity flips for half a second. You drop an inch into yourself. A brief shudder, like waking from a falling dream. Your path continues. Somewhere far below, you hear a strange lullaby being sung by the station's core processor. You don't know how you know that, but you do. And now, gravity purrs again. Soft, steady, just enough to keep your feet from forgetting the ground. You enter the crew commons expecting conversation, maybe soft laughter, the hum of quiet company. Instead, you're met with silence, not the absence of sound, but the presence of listening. The walls feel aware of your entry. The room is designed like a circular lounge, all crescent sofas and low-glow tables. There are teacups, half full, some still warm. A book lies open on a floating reader, pages shifting as if someone just flipped one, but no one is here. Or rather, they are, but only if you don't look directly at them. You try, a shape in the corner, peripheral. When you face it, it's gone. Another reflection in the monitor flickers, your own, then not your own. Welcome, a voice says from the ceiling, to the personnel commons. Please remember, all crew members exist conditionally. The station's idea of a joke. You find a manifest on a glowing console. Each entry lists the crew member name, function, dream cycle frequency, and probability. Probabilities of existing all between 17% and 96%. One line simply reads, you, probability, variable. You scroll further. Most entries are familiar, names you've never heard, but feel like distant memories. One jumps out, Threnmog. The field beside his name flashes between medical officer and misplaced myth. You whisper it aloud. The lights dim. There's a sudden burst of gravity that pulls you into a memory, someone else's, probably. You stand in the medical bay, watching a man adjust a strange helmet on your head. He's humming something that sounds like a lullaby sung in reverse. He stops. His eyes meet yours. It's hard to know who's real when the dreamers don't clock in. And you're back in the commons. You blink. You're holding a mug now. It smells like cinnamon and something colder, like snow. On the inside rim, words flicker into view. Drink only if you want to remember the version of you who left. You set it down. The air in the room ripples slightly. A figure moves past, a woman in a gray uniform with no name badge. Her steps make no sound. She glances at you but doesn't make eye contact. She walks through a wall and vanishes. Another announcement plays. By order of the Temporal Ethics Committee, please refrain from interacting with unstable avatars unless accompanied by a licensed dream steward. You wonder how many dream stewards are on board? The couch beside you sinks slightly, as if someone invisible just sat down. You don't move. Instead, you lean back and exhale, allowing the station to breathe with you. The cushions adjust to your pulse. A screen unfolds from the ceiling. It shows crew photos, blurry, dreamlike portraits. One catches your eye, a version of you, younger maybe, smiling in a way you've forgotten how to do. Then something changes. The photo blinks. Now the face is frowning. Then gone. The screen retracts. A cat walks by, small, gray, wearing a tiny cum unit. It meows twice and disappears behind a wall panel. You decide not to follow. Another intercom chime. If you see the cat, pretend you didn't. It's quantum bound to room 7F, we think. You chuckle silently. The laughter lands somewhere in the ceiling and is absorbed like condensation. You pass a side corridor and glimpse three crew chatting at a table. One has no face, one is upside down, one is you. When you glance again, it's just a row of empty chairs. The fabric of the station's reality feels thinner here. You sit down in a different lounge seat. This one vibrates slightly, massaging memory nodes you didn't know you had. A sleepy hum plays from the armrest. The voice speaks again, soft now, relax. The crew is around. And ways. You close your eyes for a moment and feel something almost like companionship. Not presence exactly, more like mutual dreaming. Before you leave, you glance at the console one last time. A final note flickers. Crew changes every dream cycle. If you don't recognize anyone, it's probably your turn. You leave the room more aware of your footsteps, of the walls watching, of who might be watching with the walls. And somewhere in your mind, you wonder, if they weren't hired, who exactly brought them here? The eating hall smells like warm bread and starfruit. You aren't hungry, but you feel drawn to it the way dreams sometimes lure you into places with half-remembered comfort. The ceiling is too high, and it shifts subtly depending on how you tilt your head. Sometimes it mimics the night sky. Other times, a childhood kitchen. For a few seconds, you even think it shows your old school cafeteria until a chair floats by, legless and humming with static. There's no line. The food appears when you sit. The moment you lower yourself into the cushioned seat soft, like someone's shoulder, a tray slides out from a hidden panel in the table. On it, a bowl of soup the color of bruised plums, a tiny loaf of glowing bread, and a glass of something blue-green with bubbles that rise in spiral patterns. You're pretty sure you didn't order this, but then again, maybe you did. Maybe you're dreaming yourself from 2 cycles ahead, retroactively selecting what you'll crave now. A small sign blinks beside your plate. Meals prepared via subconscious extraction. Please refrain from traumatic thoughts while chewing. The soup smells like something your mother used to make, except your mother never cooked. And this scent stirs a memory of watching an eclipse alone. You sip. The taste changes halfway down your throat. First nostalgia, then sorrow, then the warmth of being forgiven. You blink and the bread has become smaller. Not nibbled, just less. You check under the table. Nothing. The cup of liquid is now clear. It didn't bubble out. It just changed. You aren't alone anymore. Across the table sits a person whose face glitches between 3 possibilities. Old friend, stranger, mirror. The eyes remain constant dark, kind, and vaguely familiar in the way people sometimes look in dreams just before you realize they've passed away. They smile. You shouldn't think too hard while eating here. You start to speak, but your words rearrange midair and float back into your mouth. The other person laughs gently. Thought loop. Classic first-month mistake. You glance around. Dozens of tables. Some with solitary diners, some with flickering figures, some with animals. You see a crow politely sipping tea. A cat eats noodles with chopsticks. No one looks surprised. From the far wall, a booming voice calls out cheerfully. Today's emotional specials include regret stew, bittersweet dumplings, and post-breakup curry. All memories served lukewarm unless otherwise specified. You lean back in your seat. The other person is gone. So is the tray. You reach out holding a spoon carved from something that hums. Faintly, a material labeled Dreambone in tiny script along the handle. A napkin floats up beside you and begins wiping your chin unprompted. It smells like lavender and thunderstorms. The intercom whispers this time, reminder, if your meal starts reciting poetry, chew slowly and with feeling. You stand and the table vanishes behind you. The floor tilts rotates, and you walk in a straight line that loops around itself. You exit into a corridor marked digestive decompression chamber. Inside, lights flicker dimly. A mural along the wall shows a galaxy made entirely of mouths open, silent, and singing. The plaque beneath it reads, "In some cultures, digestion is considered sacred. In others, it's recreational. We make no judgments here." As you exit, you catch your reflection in the mirrored door. Your eyes are slightly brighter, your lips have traces of plum-colored soup. But when you wipe it, your hand comes away clean. Somewhere far behind you, a bell chimes. It sounds like a memory of someone calling you in for dinner. And just like that, you feel full, not just fed, but acknowledged. As if the station has taken something heavy from you and replaced it with something warm and silent. You step into the corridor expecting to head toward navigation or recreation someplace labeled and predictable. But the hallway ahead isn't quite a hallway. It's shifting like a memory you try to recall mid-dream, but it keeps changing every time you grasp at it. At first it seems straight. You take 10 steps. The next 10 steps tilt. The floor flattens into a ramp. The ramp curls into a stairwell, even though you never climbed. The walls begin to pulse with a faint light, soft pinks and mild ambers glowing in sync with something emotional. You feel an old embarrassment return. The light sharpens to a cold blue. Then words scrawl across the wall. This corridor rearranges itself based on your unresolved guilt. Proceed gently. You pause. Do you feel guilty? The corridor seems to think so. A door appears where there wasn't one before. It's labeled, "Do not enter unless you mean IT." You walk past it. It appears again 10 paces later. You sigh and open it. Inside is a narrow room filled with ticking clocks. None of them have hands. A woman sits in the middle, her face pixelated at the edges. She doesn't look up, but she says, "There's a reason you came here." "I didn't choose this door," you reply, though your voice doesn't carry far. "You're still lying to yourself," she says kindly. She vanishes. All the clocks stop ticking. You exit the room, and the hallway now curves in a different direction. The floor squishes slightly like wet carpet, except your boots remain dry. The ceiling leaks faint music. A children's tune, off-key. A glowing arrow floats beside you. If you've lost something, walk backward. If you've lost someone, look up. You do. The ceiling has transformed into a translucent membrane. Behind it, faces drift by. One looks like your father. Another looks like your reflection, but crying. You look down. The floor is now covered in names, just first names, some you know, some you've forgotten. One of them glows. It's yours. You blink. It's gone. The walls ripple, and the hallway grows narrower. Your shoulders nearly brush the edges. You feel like you're being squeezed not by space, but by memory. Another sign. Caution. High guilt density. Recommended pace. Slow, introspective walking. You obey. Your footfalls are soft, almost meditative. Then you notice something odd. You're passing the same door again. The one labeled, "Do not enter unless you mean IT." It hasn't moved. You have. You press your hand to the wall. It's warm. A low thrum pulses through your palm. It matches your heartbeat, or tries to. Another voice, not the intercom this time, but something older, embedded in the architecture, whispers. The station remembers what you forget, but it only releases it when you're ready. The floor suddenly twists beneath you. You stumble forward. The hallway straightens. A doorway opens ahead, labeled Guilt Neutral Zone. You step through. Bright light. Silence. A garden, oddly familiar. Empty swing set, gravel path. A paper airplane drifts down from the ceiling and lands at your feet. You unfold it. It wasn't your fault. Your chest tightens. You don't remember what it was, but you feel lighter anyway. You sit on the swing. It creaks slightly. You close your eyes, just for a moment. The breeze smells like dry leaves and citrus. When you stand again, the hallway's gone. You're somewhere new. The station has accepted your passage. And maybe, just maybe, you've forgiven yourself a little too. You find yourself in front of a tall archway marked archive, though the letters occasionally rearrange themselves, sometimes becoming chimera. Sometimes I reach. The floor beyond it is smooth obsidian, and the air smells like ozone and faded paper. You step inside. The room is vast, domed, and unnaturally quiet. Shelves curve upward like rib bones, towering into shadows. There are no bucks, only translucent memory spheres, gently spinning and pulsing with soft inner light. Each is about the size of a plum. Some glow warmly, others flicker like dying stars. You approach a nearby shelf. Labels float holographically beside each orb. Names, dates, coordinates, and strange ones. Like dream of the version of you that learned to swim, or unsent thought between two strangers in a shuttle bathroom. A console blinks to life as you near. It scans your presence without touching you. Then it asks, politely, please specify memory retrieval past self parallel variant dream, only residue future echo. You hesitate, then you whisper future echo. A slot opens. A sphere floats forward. It's darker than the others, with a faint internal storm swirling through it. You hold it gently, and suddenly you're elsewhere. You're on the station still, but it's different. Rusted, slanted, emergency lights flash silently. You see yourself in a reflection, older, tired, wearing something like armor. You're not alone. Someone clutches your arm, whispering something urgent, but the sound is gone, muted like a forgotten song lyric. You blink, you're back in the archive. The sphere cracks and fades to dust. Another screen flashes. Warning, future echoes are unstable. Repeated exposure may result in premature nostalgia, prophetic déjà vu, or echo fatigue. You turn slowly. Something at the edge of your vision moves, a figure in an archivist's robe, tall and blurred. You sense it observing you, curious but not hostile. You speak, who maintains this? The figure doesn't answer in words. Instead, it raises a hand and points upward. You follow its gesture. There's no ceiling, just an endless spiral of spheres ascending into darkness. A plaque nearby reads, no memory is truly lost, only misfiled. Some remain locked until the dreamer is ready to forget again. A laugh echoes from somewhere, a familiar one. You can't place it, but it makes your skin prickle. You look down and see a drawer labeled with your name. You hesitate, then you open it. Inside, a memory of your first fear, a smell you've forgotten but missed. A looping moment of being almost kissed, a silence so heavy it once made you weep. You close the drawer quickly. The figure has vanished. You take one last look at the shelves. One orb pulses sharply as you pass. It seems to recognize you. It flickers an image, a map of the station, but it's wrong. Corridors that don't exist. Rooms that haven't been built, or maybe were decommissioned. At the center, a blinking red icon labeled simply the core that dreams. You step back. The image fades. A voice overhead, calm and robotic, whispers, archivists are no longer physical. Please do not attempt to hug them. A narrow door opens behind you. Light filters through, violet and slow-moving, like ink in water. You pass through. As you leave the archive, you hear your own voice call after you from a direction you're not facing. Don't forget what you never meant to remember. You don't look back. You're standing in front of an airlock, but not one marked for departure. This one is ringed in soft blue light and bears no external label, just a shifting emblem that resembles both a spiral galaxy and an ear. A small panel beside it glows. Caution, outside is quiet, inside might be louder. You pause. Then press your hand to the scanner. The door opens not with a hiss, but with a low musical tone, as if recognizing you. Inside is not space. Not yet. First, there's a decompression chamber filled with shimmering mist that tastes faintly of mint and old brass. Your heartbeat slows in its presence. The second door slides open, and you step out not into vacuum, but into something stranger. The space isn't space. It stretches forever, yes, and glitters with stars, but the stars shift when you move your eyes. The constellations ripple as if trying to speak. The void is breathable. Your suit seals instinctively, though you don't recall putting it on, but you hear music. It flows through your helmet, or maybe inside your skull. A haunting blend of cello and static. You float gently forward, pulled by nothing and everything at once. You pass a satellite made of bone and feathers. It hums with ancient lullabies in a language you almost know. Your own voice crackles in your comms. Don't worry, this isn't a hallucination. Just your subconscious rearranging dark matter. You try to respond, but you're no longer holding a microphone. Your words translate into patterns of light trailing from your fingertips. Each syllable becomes a streak of neon that lingers for seconds in the vacuum. You look down. The station spins slowly behind you, glowing softly. A tendril of plasma stretches out from its core like an umbilical tether. You're still connected somehow, but you wonder for how long. You spot a structure ahead, a platform shaped like a tuning fork. As you approach, vibrations tickle your spine. The air, if it is air, vibrates in chords that resonate with specific thoughts. You think of loneliness. The fork hums in minor tones. You think of childhood joy. A bright, sharp trill dances around you. You think of someone you're not sure who, and the entire structure shudders. A glowing figure appears on the far side. No face, just motion and melody. It gestures for you to follow. You drift after it. Soon, you enter a region of space where gravity doesn't behave. Up and down rotate, left and right bend. You feel your memory loosen. Details smear like wet ink. You forget your name for a moment. You forget why you came out here. You're not scared, just aware of how strange your presence is. Then a voice not your own speaks in your mind. This field is filled with transmissions from extinct species. Their final thoughts echo forever. Suddenly, you're surrounded by whispers. Entire languages you've never heard. Some cry, some laugh. One says clearly, "Tell the sun we tried." You hold very still. Then the figure beside you, if it is beside you, touches your chest, not painfully. Just a gentle pressure. Your suit disappears. You're not cold. You're not exposed. You're simply you. And you realize something extraordinary. This part of space responds not to motion, but to memory. You think of home. It builds itself around you, glitchy and partial, but enough. A roof, a door, the scent of something baking. You think of sadness. It rains stars. You think of love. And the figure becomes someone. Still faceless, still unknowable, but warm. You whisper, "Is this real?" The stars answer, "What isn't?" You close your eyes. You don't fall asleep. You simply keep drifting forward. And the music continues. You're back inside the station, but you never felt yourself return. One moment you were drifting through memory reactive space, and now your feet rest on a familiar composite floor. The lighting is warm, soft gold laced with lavender shadows. The atmosphere hums in the background like a low lullaby. You're in a guest corridor, except no guests have ever boarded. Or rather, none who were scheduled. Each door along the hallway bears a nameplate. Some are written in languages you don't recognize. One pulses in time with your heartbeat. Another glows faintly when you look away, but turns blank when directly stared at. You walk slowly, letting your fingers graze the wall. The texture shifts beneath your touch, sometimes smooth, sometimes rough, sometimes like a lover's whisper you can't quite catch. The station feels alert, expectant. The first door you try resists opening until you think about someone you once missed terribly, then it clicks. Inside is a room that smells like sleep and rain. A bed, perfectly made. A floating light glows in the corner, casting shadows shaped like birds in flight. On the pillow is a letter not sealed, not signed, but written in your own handwriting. You read, "I only stayed one night. The dream was too familiar." You weren't here, but your absence was. You don't remember writing it. You leave the room and enter another. This one is filled with sand. Wind moves across the walls, though no breeze touches your skin. A child's voice hums from somewhere beneath the bed. You lift the sheet. Nothing, just more sand. A console in the corner blinks with a message. Some guests are echoes. Others are intrusions. Determine which gently. You hear footsteps in the corridor. You return just in time to see a man enter the room next to yours. He pauses, looks at you, then nods. His face is unfamiliar, but his eyes are unmistakably tired in the same way. You follow him in. He's sitting on a bench now, watching a projection of a desert sunset. He says nothing. You sit beside him. The sun sets slowly. It's not Earth's sun, but it still triggers a feeling of ending. As the light fades, you turn to him. He whispers, "You're not the first me to visit." You frown. "Are you me?" He shrugs. "Not anymore." The image shifts. Now it's a train station. The bench remains the same. The man is gone. In his place is a coat. You're wearing it now, though you don't remember putting it on. A small speaker crackles near the door. Guest rooms adjust according to unresolved selves. If you find a version of yourself crying, offer tea-not advice. You step out again, heart slower than before. At the end of the hall is a door larger than the rest. It opens before you touch it. Inside, 13 chairs. 12 are occupied. You see versions of yourself, older, younger, genderless, wounded, joyful. One has silver eyes. Another is entirely made of light. One is humming the song you thought no one else remembered. They all look at you. You hesitate, then sit in the final chair. None of them speak, not with words. But the feeling passes between you like static charge, a warm current. We're still here. We're all possible. You're still dreaming. And just like that, the chairs are empty. You're alone again. Except someone has left a cup of tea for you. Steam curls upward, forming shapes that resemble hands waving, mouths laughing, stars being born. You drink. It tastes like memory without regret. The guest corridor fades as you walk back out. Somewhere in the distance, a door closes. Or maybe it opens. The station is quiet. Not empty, never truly empty, but in one of its slower pulses, when everything seems to be holding its breath. You follow a faint glowing line along the floor. It curves gently, like it's leading you somewhere important without urgency. The lights above dim to a soft amber, like candlelight filtered through fog. Eventually, the hallway opens into a vast dome. This isn't on any of the schematics you've seen, though by now, you've stopped assuming those are reliable. This chamber feels alive. Its walls shimmer like fluid metal, occasionally forming mirrored blisters that pop with images snapshots from memories that don't feel like yours. A desert wedding, a snowstorm argument, a child holding a flashlight in a collapsing library. You pause. The child looks like you. In the center of the dome stands a massive tree. It shouldn't be possible. Its trunk is metallic and gnarled, with circuitry embedded like veins. The branches sway, though there's no wind, and instead of leaves, it has glowing sigils that flicker in and out of existence. Some of them pulse when you get closer. One of them whispers your name. A nearby plaque reads, "Do not attempt to translate the tree." It speaks in recursion, not logic. You circle it slowly. As you walk, memories surface, but they're not distinct. More like feelings carried by scent, a cold hand holding yours, a door slamming, laughter in a metal stairwell. You pause at a node, an exposed root looping above the floor. Inside it glows a faint green. A screen embedded in the bark lights up. A prompt appears. Access personal growth sequence. Warning, regression possible. You nod, the dome darkens. The tree pulses. You see yourself again, younger, running down a street, then tripping. then crying not from the fall, but because you dropped a toy you loved. A stranger picks it up and hands it back. You remember nothing about this until now. Then you see another moment. You're older. You've hurt someone with words. You're not sorry yet, but you will be. The image lingers longer than another. You're alone in a hospital, a library. You're waiting for something, but you don't know what. That moment is still happening. You can feel it. The tree shifts color amber to violet. The images fade. The whispers increase. Growth is a curve. Curves are endless. You reach out and touch the bark. It's warm. Another plaque slides into view beside you. Some drifters try to live in the tree's memories. Please do not make bark pillow nests. It violates hygiene protocols. You smile, then frown. You realize how long it's been since you thought about hygiene. You hear music. Somewhere above, near the crown of the tree, soft chimes ring out windless, harmonic. You tilt your head and listen. They follow a scale, but one that doesn't fit your understanding. A 13-tone scale, maybe? Or 17. Some cultures believed in those once, others dreamed them. A voice behind you says softly, "Most don't make it to this room until later cycles." You turn. A woman stands there half digital, her outline flickering like she's buffering from another reality. She continues, "But the tree called you early. That usually means you're nearing resonance." You open your mouth. Ask nothing, because you already feel what she's about to say. You're changing. She nods, then vanishes. You sit beneath the tree. A few sigils drift downward like leaves and dissolve before reaching your hands. You close your eyes. The tree breathes. You match its rhythm. And in that moment, you aren't just remembering, you are remembered. You leave the dome quietly, unsure how much time passed. The station no longer offers clocks, not since the last temporal feedback loop turned the mess hall calendar into a Mobius strip. The hallway you enter hums slightly under your feet. The floor is smooth, frictionless like walking on the thought of walking. You glide rather than step. As you move, the corridor stretches and flickers like film missing a few frames. You don't know where you're going. The walls flash with scenes. Not memories, not quite. More like alternate possibilities. You see a version of yourself living underwater, lungs replaced with coral. Another piloting a spaceship built from whale bones and harmonics. One grows old peacefully in a forest of glass. The station is showing you what could have been, or what still might be. Eventually, you reach a circular room with a single object, a giant mechanical clock suspended in the air, but it isn't ticking. Each gear floats apart from the others, disconnected yet humming softly, vibrating in place as though waiting to sync. A panel beneath it reads, "Time here is optional. Choose wisely." You reach toward the gears. The moment your finger brushes the first one, everything freezes, and then everything unfreezes wrong. You're now in a vast hall that stretches infinitely in both directions. Along its sides are towering shelves, filled not with objects, but with brief moments, bottles and glass, labeled with timestamps that make no sense. Negative Tuesday. After the last before, 1 second past the first kiss. You walk. Some bottles vibrate as you pass. One pops open without warning. A memory pours out. You're sitting in a small boat. The stars above are unfamiliar. Someone is with you. Their face is obscured, but their voice is gentle. You didn't waste your life, they say, even if no one else remembers you. You inhale. Back in the hall, the bottle reseals itself. A sign hangs from the ceiling, dusty and flickering. Warning, do not attempt to rearrange your timeline. Narrative destabilization may result in infinite Mondays. You keep moving. Eventually, you come to a door labeled Editable Moments. You enter. Inside is a console, hovering midair, with a keyboard made of mist. On the screen, you may revise one past decision. Warning, you will not remember the original. Further edits not permitted. Proceed. Your hand hovers over the missed keys. You hesitate. You think of a moment, one that always circles your mind before sleep, the one that pokes at you in silence, the one you never admit out loud. You type. The room shudders. The station blinks. You feel a soft absence, like a tooth you don't remember losing. You try to recall what you just changed. You can't. You leave the room. Now, the hall of bottles is different. Some are gone. One bottle glows fiercely. You approach. Inside you, looking peaceful. Reading a book, a cat purring in your lap. You're smiling in that quiet way that's hard to fake. You want to cry. A voice over the intercom breaks the stillness. Congratulations, dreamer. Your narrative has successfully rethreaded. Side effects may include light déjà vu, temporary optimism, and a slightly improved singing voice. You chuckle softly. As you turn to leave, one final sign catches your eye. If you feel lost, remember, time doesn't pass here, it drifts. And so do you. You're lying in your quarters, at least they feel like your quarters. The room is shaped like a teardrop, the ceiling translucent, revealing shifting constellations that blink just out of pattern. There's no bed. You're cradled by a shallow basin of memory foam that adjusts with every breath. The station hums in a frequency just beneath awareness. And then, the alarm. It doesn't blare, it shivers. A frequency too low for human ears, but your bones notice. The walls quiver, lights blink. Somewhere deep in the station's core, something stirs. An intercom voice whispers urgently, "Emergency nap protocol activated. Please return to default rest position." You blink. Emergency nap. A light flashes across the ceiling. Cycle inversion imminent. You try to stand, but the foam pulls you down gently, firmly. A mist releases from the walls, smelling faintly of clean laundry and old poetry. Your eyelids droop before you realize what's happening. Sleep takes you, but it's not rest. You wake up in the same room, but it's not the same room. The walls are reversed. The air smells of hot copper, and a chair now sits in the middle of the room, though you're certain it wasn't there before. A voice speaks not over the intercom this time, but from inside the chair. Cycle inversion complete. Welcome to your reflective layer. The chair is empty, but a presence presses from it like someone has just stood up. You step toward it. The walls flicker with images, your own face caught mid-thought. Each time you blink, a slightly different emotion appears: anger, longing, wonder, resignation. You speak aloud. What is this layer? The station answers. It's the part of the station built from you. You reach out to touch the chair, and your hand goes straight through it. Suddenly, you're no longer standing. You're looking down at yourself from above. You're lying in the foam again, watching yourself watch. And yet you are yourself, both of you. The intercom voice returns, but it sounds like your voice now. Some dreams are so large they need containment. We built this room to hold yours. You feel the station breathing through the floor. A pulse you now recognize as identical to your own. Someone knocks at the door. You open it without getting up. Outside is not the corridor. It's a white space filled with floating objects, your memories, suspended mid-motion, a toy, a book, a photo half burned, a glass that never fell but always looked like it might. They rotate gently, waiting to be chosen. A panel in the air says, "Reintegration protocol in progress. Please choose a memory to let go of." You hesitate. You reach for the glass. As your fingers graze it, the object shatters, not loudly, not violently. It simply disappears like a bubble. You feel lighter, then the room resets. The chair is gone. The walls return to their soft ripple. A cup of tea waits beside you, still steaming, although you never made it. On the wall, scrawled in handwriting like yours, "You can't wake up until you've fully rested." And you can't rest until you stop running from the version of you that never slept. You lie back, the lights dim. A lullaby plays somewhere gentle, electronic, slightly out of tune. As you drift, you whisper, "How many times have I done this?" The station answers gently, only once, repeated beautifully. You smile, or maybe the station does, and you sleep. For real this time, you awaken in the maintenance bay, though you have no memory of walking there. The floor is made of translucent panels that shimmer faintly, and beneath them you see stars. Not station wiring, not structural beams, just deep, endless space. Above you, a vaulted ceiling humming with radiant energy. Around you, tools floating gently in magnetic suspension. Wrenches, welding drones, calibration prisms, and something that looks suspiciously like a tuning fork for gravity. A voice hums through the room, but it's not the intercom. It's the station itself singing. The sound vibrates in your chest cavity. Not unpleasant, just known, like a lullaby sung in childhood you forgot you ever heard. You turn slowly, drawn toward the sound, and see them. Particles of stardust suspended in a glowing orb of antimatter shielding. They pulse and swirl, forming shapes geometric, fractal, then suddenly recognizable. Faces, animals. One takes the shape of a spiral galaxy wearing glasses. It winks at you. You chuckle nervously. The console beside the orb flashes. Stardust choir active. Caution, harmonics. May trigger unprocessed emotional resonance. The particles shift again, this time into human forms, dozens, maybe hundreds, of translucent silhouettes. They begin to move in rhythm, a dance slow and gravitational. Every gesture produces a sound, a hum, a chime. A few of them bear your face. You take a step closer and feel the room adjust to your breath. One of the stardust forms walks toward you. It sings not in words, but in feeling. A note that aches in the ribs and swells behind your eyes. It's the sound of homesickness for a home that never existed. You reply without thinking. A hum rises from your throat, uncertain but genuine. The figures echo it. The whole bay responds. Lights flicker in sympathy. Gravity flexes ever so slightly, pulsing with your heartbeat. A diagnostic panel boots up beside you, dreamer, synchronized. Emotional waveform, stable. Current status, singularity ready. You laugh. Not because it's funny, but because it feels like something to celebrate. Another stardust figure spins in place, then dissolves into a soft bell note. You look around. The bay is now brighter, warmer, less like machinery, more like a cathedral built for stars. One of the drones drafts by carrying a mug that reads, "I survived maintenance phase 9. You take it. It's full of tea. Of course it is." You sip. It tastes like oranges in deep comprehension. An access hatch opens behind you. No alarm, no warning, just gentle invitation. A plaque beside it says, "Beyond this point, all sound becomes memory." You step inside. The chamber is small, hexagonal, padded in sound-absorbing tiles that look like petals. As the door closes behind you, the singing stops. Silence rushes in, not absence, but presence in its purest form. You realize something. This station isn't just orbiting sleep. It is sleep, a drift platform for minds like yours. A womb for unfinished selves. A vessel of soft echoes and subtle collisions. And now it's singing you. From the silence, a single note emerges. You don't know if it's inside your body or in the walls, but it feels perfect. You hum back, just once, and the note holds. You stand in a chamber with no visible door, no windows, no sound, just walls the color of deep thought. The silence is full. It presses softly against your skin, inviting you to listen not with ears, but with memory, and memory answers. A soft tremor in your chest, a tug behind your eyes. A sudden image, a child staring into the rain, counting every drop like it's a promise. The room brightens slightly, not with light, but with clarity. You're not alone. Across from you floats a figure, not solid, not spectral, but something in between. You recognize the posture, the way the hands clench and unclench, the slight tilt of the head when listening too intently. It's you, but older. Not aged, exactly. Stretched, lived. Their body carries stories in the way a tree carries rings. They speak, voice steady and warm. So, you've made it this far. You nod, or something in you nods. You've been drifting longer than you realize, but you're nearing alignment. They gesture, and the walls ripple open like fabric pulled by unseen hands. Outside, not stars, not machinery. Outside is a field of liquid mirrors, undulating across eternity. Each one shows a version of you, not as you are, but as you might have been. The you who left early, the you who said yes, the you who forgave, the you who stayed angry. One is you as a storm, another is you as music. The older you continues, this is the station's core. It holds every iteration of every self that's ever passed through its cycles. You take a step closer to one of the mirrors. It flickers. The reflection lifts its hand. Yours does not. That version of you smiles, then walks away. The mirror still shows the empty hallway they left behind. You whisper, "Are they real?" The answer comes not in words, but in sensation like déjà vu dissolving into acceptance. Then a memory replays across every mirror at once. You, waking up for the first time in this place, confused and weightless. And suddenly, you understand. You've always been here. Not continuously, not linearly, but always. The older you speaks again, there's one more version of you the station has never seen. You tilt your head, the one who doesn't need to understand. They smile, then dissolve. The mirrors go still. You're left with your own reflection, tired, curious, whole. You sit cross-legged in the center of the room. The mirrors ripple. One by one, they vanish until only the space remains open, endless, patient, and then a sound. Not from the station, from within you. A tone, clear, resonant, wordless, that fills the room, painting the walls with moving color. Your voice, untrained, uncertain, but yours. You sing just once. And the chamber listens. You float through a corridor lined with nothing but silence. Not the purposeful quiet of reflection, but the heavy, intentional hush of a place meant to be forgotten. The walls are smooth, featureless, and dark like they're made from dried shadows. There are no signs, no labels, no welcoming glow. Only a single thread of soft silver light runs along the ceiling, like a vein guiding you forward. You follow it. The air here is heavier, denser, as though each breath is drawn through a memory not quite your own. Eventually, the corridor opens into a circular chamber. It is almost entirely empty. Almost. In the center, suspended in a column of translucent gel, floats a heart, not human, not alien. Not mechanical, just a heart. Beating slow, rhythmic, deep. Its pulse reverberates through the floor and up your spine. You approach, unsure if you're allowed. A soft tone hums from the chamber, final calibration in progress. Drift signature nearing equilibrium. On the floor around the column are concentric circles etched into the surface like rings in a tree or the orbits of forgotten moons. You stand at the edge of the outermost one. It vibrates beneath your feet. A voice speaks, calm and low. This is the surrender point. You do not come here to decide. You come here to allow. The walls begin to breathe. Not metaphorically, they rise and fall in gentle waves, inhaling and exhaling with the same rhythm as the heart in the center. You step closer. The gel around the heart shimmers, revealing flashes of dreams, your dreams looping in soft echo, you laughing in zero gravity, weeping into a cup of sea-colored tea, dancing alone in a corridor no longer on the map. The final ring beneath your feet lights up. You feel your name loosen, not disappear, just drift. A plaque appears beside you. It wasn't there before. At this depth of sleep, you are no longer the dreamer. You are the dream. You close your eyes. A warmth gathers behind your sternum, not fire, not light, something quieter, something that waited for you. You kneel. The air folds around you like water. You whisper nothing, and still something answers. You've carried so much, now let us. Your body begins to feel unreal. Not gone, just released. The walls dissolve. So does the chamber. You are suspended in nothing, but not alone. Far off, a light pulses. You drift toward it, a slow, infinite swim through soft gravity and thought. The light grows, not bright, just present, and with it, music. Faint, familiar. The first song you ever heard, maybe? Or the last one you'll forget? As you approach, your body begins to dissolve. First weight, then time, then memory. Only stillness remains. You reach the light, and inside it, there is nothing but peace. You do not know if you're drifting or if the universe is moving around you. There is no more station, no more rooms, no more echoes, only sensation, quiet as breath between stars. You are wrapped in velvet, dark, warm, immense, forgiving. Each pulse of your being is mirrored by the cosmos, as if every heartbeat is gently tuning the void into song. And still, there is presence. A whisper too subtle to be sound. Welcome home. You are neither surprised nor confused. Only open, your form begins to shape itself again slightly, loosely, just enough for feeling. You are no longer bound by body, but held in a suggestion of self. Beneath you, the memory of a floor. Above, nothing but infinity. A shape approaches. You recognize it without knowing why. It is not a person. It is not a machine. It is not a god. It is familiar. Like the hum of the station, like the shimmer of the gel column, like the taste of sea-colored tea. It does not speak. It understands. You drift toward one another until there is no separation. Only resonance. Thought becomes shared. Feeling becomes shared. Identity becomes optional. And then a garden. Yes, a garden. Impossible. Yes, but here it is. Floating in starlit gravity, rooted in nothing but intention. Trees of glass, their leaves singing in gentle chord. Vines that curl in patterns only dreams could map. Ponds that reflect futures not yet dreamed. A bench, you sit. A breeze you cannot feel moves through the space. Scentless, soundless, but somehow soothing. You remember the vending pod in Jupiter's ring. The false sunrise over Mercury's hollow. The echo of your own voice in the stardust choir, and something in you sighs. Not from exhaustion, from arrival. This is the drift station. This is the cycle. This is the dream. The voice returns one last time. You are complete. You close your eyes, not to sleep, to stay. Your breath slows. The garden remains. Time stretches like light through a prism, soft, scattered, harmless. You are more thought than form now, more memory than flesh. And still, you linger, gently. The glass leaves rustle in chords only the tired can hear. The vines sway. The stars pulse, not with heat, but with the rhythm of sleep itself. In the distance, echoes of the drift station continue soft announcements. Unheard alarms, vending machines, murmuring jokes no one will get. A cup of tea waits on a windowsill somewhere. Still warm, just in case you return. But you won't. Not yet. You've arrived at the place beyond arrival, where questions no longer seek answers and shapes no longer require names. Where silence holds your story gently and time bows in respect. If you listen closely beyond sound, beyond thought, you can still feel the pulse of the station humming through everything, and within it, your hum, perfectly in tune. So you drift now. Not alone, not lost, just finally, peacefully, beautifully asleep.